Hello everyone, this is Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of All About Women, a co-production between China and Hong Kong. It's a romantic comedy that was directed by Tsui Hark, of all people, and stars Zhou Xun, Kwai Lin-mei, and Kitty Zhang. Yeah, this is not a film that you would typically associate with this director, so let's see how he does romantic comedies, shall we? We have three main characters in this movie, who each have their own separate story. Okay, you have Kwai Lin-mei, plays a badass punk rocker, amateur boxer, internet novelist. She has a lot of hats. Who has an imaginary boyfriend. Okay. Then we have Zhou Xun, who plays an uptight doctor with selective full-body stiffness and a lifetime supply of pheromone-enhanced love potion. And then we have Kitty Zhang, who plays an executive for a corporation who men find so attractive it destroys her relationships with other women. And eventually these women's stories collide. Now, I've covered a number of good quality romantic comedies on this channel over the years. Movies with multidimensional characters and properly developed romance. All About Women does not really qualify as that kind of movie. The romantic relationships in this film are very shallow and lacking in realism. And at the end of the film, the characters are essentially the same person that they were at the beginning of the movie. Really not much of a character arc here, alright? But I think it's important to say this up front, because if you decide to watch this movie, I want to make sure that your expectations are appropriate, so keep those things in mind. And with that said, All About Women is one of the more entertaining romantic comedies of the 21st century, in my opinion. One of the big reasons for this is that Zhou Xun and Kwai Lin-mei are two of my favorite actresses of all time. And it's a real treat seeing them here in the same film, because they're allowed to really cut loose and chew the scenery with some over-the-top moments. The acting is expressionistic, which could be a disaster if lesser actors were cast, but we're talking about two elite actresses, and they're fantastic in this movie. They have a command over their mannerisms and facial expressions, as well as an insane level of charisma and screen presence. And that makes practically every scene a lot of fun to watch. There is some serious starlet firepower, I guess you could say, in this movie. Now, the fact that Kitty Zhang was able to hang with these other two actresses by carrying her own separate story, and then effectively play off of them when they meet, is pretty impressive. You know, this is the movie that put her on the map for me, and I had no idea who she was before watching All About Women. And in some sense, this is still my favorite performance from her. The male lead in this is probably Eddie Peng, who appears in an earlier role in his career, and this movie put him on the map for me as well. Very likable and has pretty good timing with his comedy. And then we have Stephen Fung and Alex Fong, who round out the male cast in supporting roles. So yeah, this is a good cast. Another positive to this movie is its situational script writing. So as I said earlier, like the character and the romantic development are pretty weak in this, but in terms of crafting individual moments and set pieces of comedy, I think the writing is actually good. You know, it's very episodic and interaction-based, with story jumping around a lot to highlight basically a non-stop series of comedy set pieces. And I think it's really funny and very well paced, for sure. Some of my favorite scenes are the failed pheromone tests, the live concert debacle, and the auction bidding scene. Now, most interestingly, the script was actually written by Kwak Jae-young, the Korean director-writer of My Sassy Girl, of all films. Quite an odd collaboration. So, you know, My Sassy Girl, the Korean film, had a lot of character development in it, right? And a lot of romantic development. Those elements didn't make their way into Kwak's script for All About Women, but he did bring the situational script writing with him, and I think that really helps in this. And one final compliment is the music, which is surprisingly good. You know, this uses like a soundtrack and a musical score mix, both of which are very catchy. I mean, I actually have the official soundtrack that I bought years ago, and I do listen to it on a fairly regular basis. There's some good music in this, which is a nice bonus. So yeah, I definitely recommend All About Women if you're in the mood for a light, breezy romantic comedy that's kind of shallow. But I just think it's a lot of fun to watch. And I watch this movie a lot. Like, at least once a year, I watch this. The DVD is harder to find nowadays. Hopefully it gets a Blu-ray at some point. But it is available streaming on Asian Crush, but it's part of their subscription package. So you got to pay like $5 a month. But they do have a good number of good movies on there, so I do recommend the website. So yes, check this one out if you're in the mood for it. And as always, I will see you next time.